Okay. Hi, it is live and we're here. I'm sorry for the delay. There was a 30-minute hold, and I'm hoping that you will all still be around. I had publicized this happening today, and so very happy to have you with me. I'm trying to simulcast today, so it might be a little bit different, but I am anticipating that we will do wonderful things here. Okay, so it looks like I am actually live on YouTube as well as live on. So I think I might just take this and slide you right over here. And so now I've got my YouTube on my left and my Facebook on the left and my YouTube on the right. So what did I do? It's a little bit. No, I don't want to end the live. Okay. All right. So I'm going to be kind of monitoring two different things here today. But okay. So this has been an exciting week because Singers Impact. Let me just make sure, first of all, can you see me and can you hear me? And thank you. I already have a comment from Kyle. Kyle, you're the man there. Hey, Max, get to talk to you live too. And Mr. Dataroy, come on, doing now Days Malik. And piano music, great. All right, so it looks like I'm getting through loud and clear on YouTube, and for some reason it's my picture is doing something funny on Facebook. I don't see why exactly, but we're gonna move ahead. Come on, why is this happening? Well, okay, so I'm just going to say join me if this continues to buffer on Power to Sing on YouTube. All right, so let me just tell the Facebook folks that if it doesn't come alive there in a minute, that they can join us here. So, all right, so the purpose of this tonight is to, well, first of all, celebrate Singers Impact, and you've had a lot of communication from me this week, both in video as well as on through email, that we've had the cart open for Singers Impact for last week, and it's closing tonight in a few hours, and it hasn't been open for 19 months. So I don't anticipate that it's going to be that long before it reopens again. However, I don't have an open date in mind. So if you are sitting on the fence and you're undecided, please come and join us. So let me just talk a little about what Singers Impact is all about, and I'm gonna bring up I'm actually gonna bring up my Singers Impact page here. Inside Singers Impact is a membership site. There are 6 courses, and there's about 12 hours of coursework that will keep you very busy for a long time. And this is what the inside looks like. Let me just expand this a little bit here. And there's a welcome video I have outlined here, a pretty simple, straightforward singer's pathway to success beginning stage 1, stage 2, stage 3, and stage 4. Stage 1 is sing higher. Stage 2 is sing better. Stage 3 is sing songs, and stage 4 is singing mastery. Inside each of, inside stage 1, which is listed here, are several courses. And that's kind of the idea of just to give you an idea. If you're working in stage 1, then you're going to be working in a fundamentals course. You're going to be working in Sing Higher Than Ever Before. And Sing Higher Than Ever Before is really where it all kind of hits. It's all very, the building block begins. And that is all about the first bridge. All right, so you see my little picture here, bridge closed. How many of us have ever felt that way about the vocal bridge? In other words, that transition from chest to head voice within stage 1 will be focusing very heavily on how to get out of chest through the middle, in other words, through mix and into our head voice. This is not an easy thing to do. And that's why we begin with this. We begin also with, we begin with the vocal type. And all of you who have been following me for a while know that I have vocal exercises for 4 different vocal types. Pulled chest, high larynx is a very large percentage of all of us. That's my vocal type. The light chest, no chest, the flip falsetto vocal type, and mix. Between humanity, most of humanity falls within these 4 vocal types, and all of us are some blend of those vocal types. However, there is usually a predominant element of the vocal type. So nice to have you guys here today. I said hi to Max and Kyle. Hey, nice to have you here. Thank you. It's loud and clear at the moment. Yeah. EL, nice to have you here, EL. Sabrina, hi, nice to have you here. Thank you. EL says, Chuck, you're great, and I appreciate that. You're great, EL. Everyone has an element of greatness within them. Urshia, Devana, thank you for everything that's been taught to us. Sir, can I get in PDF? Your exercises is good. Sir, can a get in PDF? Your exercise is good. Sorry, EL, I'm not following you on that question. CSI, hi. Great to have you here. All right, so inside Singer's Impact then are courses that take us through our stages with courses within each stage. In stage 2, once you've really established the vocal type your vocal type, your exercises for vocal type, and you are through the Sing Higher Than Ever Before course, which is the foundation of getting from chest to head, dealing with the bridge. Then we go on to stage 2, which is Sing Better. And Sing Better includes vibrato for sure. So there's a wonderful course on vibrato and 2 courses on make your high notes, or master your high notes, and make your high notes impressive. So it's impressive you have high notes, but are your high notes impressive? That's the idea behind it. So it's not just enough to sing high, to sing higher, but we want them to be good. And so that's the intent of these courses. Inside stage 3 right now is the bridging kit, which some of you have already seen, but it's basically how to deal with the words in songs, because those always are the ones that get us messed up. We start getting the exercises right, but then the words in songs start messing us up. And that's what the bridging kit is going to do. On the docket for another course that's going to be added inside Singer's Impact is a more intense application to song that will be forthcoming, which is the great thing about this kind of structure is that it's going to continually be getting new things in addition to what's already there. So, Stravos, hey, nice to have you here. And Soprano WJ, hi. So I want to open this up to you right off the bat. If any of you, and I can't remember if I see any current members of Singers Impact or those who have just recently joined, but if you have any questions at all about Singers Impact, I would love to address those for you. I've been kind of keeping track of some of the questions that have come to me this week, and we've answered some of them. Actually, I've tried to answer all of them as the week has progressed. But Andrea, hi, nice to have you here today. And let me see. Hey, okay, my wife is starting to get into singing now, Brandon. So I've got a message here on the other side. So Brandon, tell me, is my image frozen on? Is it frozen inside the Facebook? Because it's the image on my side. I am frozen there, so I can't tell if anybody can actually see me there. So you're welcome, Brandon, to come on over. If I'm frozen on Facebook, come on over to YouTube where it's live and moving around. I'm actually moving. Andrea says, I have 2 questions regarding your program. Okay. Hey, no worries, Andrea. I make typos all the time. It's hard not to when half the time if you push enter, you think it's going to be a paragraph, and it's not. It ends up posting to whatever you're writing in. But yeah, let me know, Andrea, what your question is, and I'll address everything tonight. El is listening from India. So El, do you realize that after the United States, India is the second most represented country on earth that view and watch my videos. So thank you for joining us this evening. So giving a little bit more overview with the courses, the 4th stage is singing mastery. The 3rd stage is sing songs, which is in, and that's why the bridging kit is in there. That is a kit to help you learn how to bridge in your voice in songs. And then in stage 4, singing mastery. Singing mastery has, there's no course inside it yet, but there will be courses added as we go along. And then there are 4 different events that happen every month inside Singers Impact. Event number 1 is a reaction video to different singers. Last month I reacted to Stevie Wonder and his song Signed, Sealed, and Delivered. And it's a great learning experience because I'm trying to point out what's being done well. And so Stevie Wonder is a great singer, and he's in his mix most of the time. And so it's helpful to begin to identify when a singer is singing in mix. The second event is student focus, where you send me a recording and I comment on your recording or a video of you. So you send about a minute cut on a song that, here's what I want you to see, here's what I want you to listen to, this is what I'm working on, please give me some feedback. And so those are available. That's the second focus. The second week's focus is student focus, focusing on you. So I hear it and I give you feedback, and it's a live setting so people can interact and ask questions. The singer themselves, the member of Singers Impact, can get coaching there if they're able to make the broadcast. Every broadcast that I do is going to be recorded and left in inside Singers Impact. If I go back to the home page, of power to sing. Let me just show this to you. This is a good example. Week number 3 is the Singers Impact Live. And so when we do week 3, we have our own members join. And for example, in this particular week here, if you see this one, I was just saying, well, let me see if I can bring this up here. All right, so this week there were 3 of us, and sorry, hold on a second here. Just a minute. You're not seeing this. Let me bring this up. Okay. So this week, this was several weeks ago, or several months ago. I worked with 2 gentlemen, and Jeremy from Australia and Stu from Arizona, and we actually did a voice lesson with each of these gentlemen while other people inside Singers Impact were watching. So this is my opportunity and the members of Singers Impact opportunity for me to work directly to hear what's going on with your voice and to give you, again, some more coaching and guidance along the way. So that's week number 3. Week number 4 is the green room, which we had this week, and it's a Q&A. What's happened last month, what's coming up this month. So and it's live, it's interactive, so people can ask questions as long as the internet's working well. Yesterday we had the internet gremlins were really hitting us hard. All right, so courses plus weekly interaction with me as the members of Singers Impact can participate in, and that is a kind of an outline of what we're doing inside Singers Impact. Now, that's Jeremy. Okay, let me just check back here and see if I have any other comments. Oh, okay. So thank you. It looks as if Facebook is doing fine. Brandon at Facebook said that it's crystal clear there. So great. Awesome. Thank you, Brandon. So I'll just kind of keep check with with these comments on both ends. Andrea, Soprano WJ from Korea. Awesome. Great to have you here. What time is it in Korea? It must be, gosh, you guys must be, it's the middle of the night, isn't it? Or maybe it's early morning there. Get a couple of the comments. Stravos says, I just came. Can you explain what your programs are about? Ha! Okay. We should buy them. Yeah, I'll let me back up a minute here. Let me get let me get Andrea's question answered. I'm going to pop this out and bring this closer into view here. Oop, not that big. So I'm just making this chat box a little bit easier for me to see. Let me address Andrea's question. Number one, I'm already advanced. I can sing mix, but I need more refinement and power. So in your program, can I already access to more advanced things? Yes, Andrew, you can. I would prefer you would work through the beginning, and it's not going to take you long to go through the beginning things, mainly because I want us to be speaking the same language. I want us to be coming from the same concepts. So yes, you can, but you might be we might be speaking a different language. I would prefer that we're both speaking the language of what's inside Singers Impact, so that we have a little more, so that we're on the same page, so to speak. Do you get my drift? So I don't necessarily think that you have to because you're not experienced, but I would prefer it that if you could put it in the so that your discussion, your thoughts, your questions are in the context of what I'm talking about, so that I can understand even better. Okay. YouTube's not receiving enough video, huh? Well, okay. This is where the gremlins come in. The stream looks okay. Number 2, Andrea asks, I can enter until 0000 of 27, right? No, it's actually turning off at 11:59. It's actually turning off of 11:59 tonight. Now that is in. I need to make a clarification. That's actually in about 4 more hours. 8, 9, 10, 11, in 4 more hours. It's going to be based on my time, Mountain Daylight Time, which will be 2 a.m. Eastern Daylight Time in New York. Andrea's from Italy. It's 2:44 a.m. My goodness, Andrea. Thank you for staying up so late and joining us tonight. I love Italy. I was there when I was 18. Florence is my favorite city. We went to the big cities, so I didn't get everywhere. But we went to Venice and Florence, Milan, and Roma. And it was my favorite country. I loved Italy. I love your ice cream. But I loved Florence. We went to Santa Maria del Fiore, which I think is the largest cathedral in Florence. And we sang at Mass there. I was in a madrigal group, and we sang there 4 times during Mass. Interestingly enough, the priest who was conducting Mass was conducting in Latin. He lived in Italy, and he was from Montana, the United States. So after Mass, then the cathedral organist played a concert for us, and it was a wonderful experience. That's probably why I loved Florence so much. Abby, hi, Abby, nice to see you. This doesn't get rid of. No, ma'am, you are one of the pioneers, and it does not. Everything remains the same for you, Abby, and so it's just only going to get better. And I hope that you like more of the broadcasts that we're going to be doing. So Andrea says, "Oh, sorry, I see right now the access. The access is." No, it's not. I have seen right now the access is already closed. That's interesting, Andrea. So you're seeing it in your time zone. Andrea, get a hold of me. Email me, chuck@singutah.com. or chuck@powertosing, chuck@powertosing.com. Email me, Andrea. If you want in, I'm not going to penalize you because you live in Italy, and your time zone is not. I'm going to let you work in my time zone, okay? If you want to, just email me, but tell me right away tomorrow so we can make a plan here. One bad play piano man, Billy Joel. I guess that's your name. Nice to have you here today. Okay, hey George, you're back. Thanks for joining. Andrea says, thanks. Okay. Andrew Thomas, how long did it take you to connect your chest and head voice when you started working on your voice later in life? Andrew, thank you for that. That's a great question. I was 43 and had no idea that I could do anything past the E above middle C. I thought I thought that I was genetically limited, and that was it. I had no understanding or concept that I could leave that bottom voice, other than going in the falsetto. Ah! So Strabo says, "You look like Seth Riggs." Well, thank you. I wish I was as good a great teacher as Seth. And okay, I didn't want to miss that comment. That was very nice, Stravos. So, Andrew, I attended a workshop with Seth, and the first thing we did, and there was like 100 of us there. I mean, it's a big workshop. We did this. That was the first time I ever went into head voice without going into falsetto. I knew that I hadn't broke. I knew that it didn't crack. It didn't let go. So just that bubble lip got me up into my head voice and back down again. And I was basically astounded. I knew that something was different with that. I knew that it wasn't a falsetto that I went into, because I didn't feel it crack or break, and I didn't feel any strain. So you asked me how long did it take for me to connect chest and head. It took about 3 minutes. However, we don't have any songs like this, right? With those lyrics. So I auditioned. I sang a song for Mr. Riggs. He came back 7 months later, and he was there at the end of May in 1997. And I sang a solo for him and got some feedback from him. And so I would say, for me to have the confidence to do that, and I also auditioned once with the same song, was Maria from West Side Story, probably the month before, like around in April. So I would say for me, it didn't take me that long to get into my head voice, but it took me that long to feel brave enough to sing in public. So to go audition for a play, I was auditioning for The Secret Garden, and then I sang the following, a few weeks later, for Mr. Riggs. So 6 to 7 months for me to have enough courage and confidence to sing in front of someone, in public. Even then, Andrew, I still was pulling my chest a little bit, but I could sing an F, and that was shocking to me and miraculous, because all my life I thought that was impossible. Now it's, I'm much more advanced, but I would say, as far as the exercises are concerned, it didn't take me very long. I just had to learn how to do a few things, and it was only, a few weeks that I was comfortably getting into my head voice in the exercises. And the songs were a little more challenging. Abby says, I hate to keep missing the live streams. Abby, we're going to have to work on that. It's hard to know when to publish them or when to hold them. Right now, the time for the broadcasts are 10 a.m. Mountain Time, Mountain Daylight Time, or Mountain Standard Time, depending on what time of year it is, on Wednesday morning. And then they go into the archive. It's just hard to pick a time when it's good for the world. That time's pretty good for the UK and for like the Scandinavian countries. That puts them around 5, 6, 7 o'clock. But it's hard. It really is hard. Sydney, Rhythm Master, hi. I signed up already. Hey, awesome, Sydney. Cool. This is Aleem. Oh, all right, gotcha. From Sydney, all right. That's terrific. Aleem, I've seen you in there, and I know you're working. You're going after it. You had a comment to me. In fact, this is the comment. The vibrato lesson lesson 1 is so good. Can we please have downloadable versions of them? Did you find those downloadables? I can sing for hours now without getting tired or exhausted. Awesome. I am able to engage the right tone so easily. Your chorus is awesome and so simple. Sydney, thank you. Aleem, thank you. Sydney Rhythm Master. So Aleem, thank you very much, and thanks for sharing that. This is why I do it. I didn't know we could do this, and so I'm trying to get the word out to the world, to Earth. Hey, Calvin Ben, hi. Any chance of posting that workshop with Seth? I have a little section of that. The original workshop, I don't. I don't have anything from it. I had no idea what I was going to. My daughter came home and said, hey, there's a man coming from Los Angeles, and he's the vocal coach of the Stars, and he teaches Michael Jackson. I said, well, let's go. That sounds awesome. And so 3 of my daughters and my wife and I went on a Saturday morning, and I had no idea what to expect. I wish I had taken my video camera. That would have been fun. I do have some video of my second, the second one that I sang when I sang for him. I've got some video of that. That actually, there's an excerpt of that somewhere in one of my YouTube videos, but I also have it inside Singer's Impact. So I'm probably not going to release it generally, although it is someplace. I have it. It's an example of me pulling chest. Even though I sang the F, my vowel was open too wide. I didn't care. I could sing the F, which is so thrilling. Aleem says, this morning woke up with a sore throat, almost had lost my voice. Your exercise helped me overcome easily. Yeah, take care of yourself, Cindy. Don't let the virus grab you down there and down under. Simply did your pull chest master free version, which is what I've been doing for several weeks. Yeah, so the pull chest high larynx exercises are available for free on Power to Sing. Underneath the you go to the menu and just click on vocal types, and you can watch videos about all the vocal types and download free exercises. That's actually still a part of Singer's Impact. It's the foundation. It's the foundation where we start. Andrea asked the question, sometimes my mix sounds a bit effeminate, but I want more masculine mix. Teachers say I'm a tenor, but generally my speaking voice is masculine. Probably lack of power. Well, Andrea, it's not necessarily true. It's not necessarily that you lack power, but it's probably there's still the larynx is still coming up a little bit as you're going to the bridge, and so it's harder to lean into your voice when the larynx is coming up. It's a challenging thing to be singing mix, especially in that bridge area, and if it's a little light, then that carries on into head voice, or it can. Although I have found that it's easier for me at the A5, the A above, or the A4 rather, the A above middle C. It's easier there than it is on the F sharp and the F. So it's not necessarily that you lack power. it's probably that you lack some coordination of some sort, and it just still needs, the larynx needs to come down a little bit more, or you need to work on different vowels in that bridge area, in that mix area, going more from narrow to more open vowels, and doing it with and without consonants on different scales. I would say that would be the way to find out where in the mix are you having a struggle and how it affects the other parts of your mix. Jose, hey Jose, nice to have you here today. Chuck, I can do 1 month of Singer's Impact. Can I do 1 month of Singer's Impact and do annual payment if I like it? Jose, I currently don't have that set up. And I've thought that probably that's a good idea. I just don't have it. I don't have the ability to, I don't have it. It's got to be on an automatic basis, and I don't have that. I don't have it set up yet. So in this case, just try it out. Either way, either with the annual or the month. Let me see, the monthly. Yeah, I see what you're saying. I don't have that. I don't have that availability yet. So that's probably coming. I don't know when, but I think it's a good idea if people are in it for 3 or 4 months and decide they want to go ahead and buy the annual. But at this point, you have to get the annual or get the monthly. If you get the annual and you don't like it, then there's a 30-day guarantee, and so I'll give you your money back. Martin, Communications. Hey, nice to have you here today. Just got here a few minutes ago. What is Singer's Impact? Okay, so Singer's Impact, and this is a question then that was asked. Was it Stravos? Just came. Can you explain what your program's about? Yeah. Okay, so let me explain what Singer's Impact is. Singer's Impact. I'm going to bring it up here on the on another screen, and I'll put it up on the screen for you. This is the inside of Singer's Impact. This is the inside. Okay, we're inside Singer's Impact. And it's a membership site. You pay an annual membership. If you pay annually, it's only $16.50 a month, and that's how much on a weekly basis is like $4.13 or something, which is how much a box of chicken McNuggets cost. It's priced really cheap, really inexpensively. It's almost embarrassing in a way because there's so much value. Can I tell you guys? Let me just share this with you. 23 years ago, when I started studying this is in the fall of '96. My teacher was $150 for an hour. $150 for an hour of lessons. That's 23 years ago. $75 for 30 minutes. 23 years later, I raised my prices to where my teacher was 23 years ago for my private lessons. There is so much. This represents so much value. But it doesn't matter to you. I understand that. What matters is that it works. So inside Singer's Impact is here's a welcome video, but there's a singer's success path. Singer's Impact Success Path. For me, this is about when I was first starting. I really didn't know where I was going. I didn't know what was ahead of me. What am I trying to do? What am I aiming for with my voice? And so I just wanted this to help us all get a sense for where are you in your progress? Where are you in your development? And really the first stage that I wanted to highlight, stage 1, is sing higher. Why sing higher? Because that's what the vast majority of my students, when they come to me, they struggle with their range. They can't sing high notes, or if they do, they can't sing them well. They strain, they crack, they break, they reach, it's very difficult. And so stage 1 is, how do we, in order for us to do that well, we have to learn how to transition out of chest voice through this middle, which is the bridge area of the voice, with a mix of chest and head, and then get into head voice. That, for many of us, is that stage 1 represents years of work to do it well. So that's stage 1. And so there's basic fundamentals in stage 1, and then the fundamental of bridging, learning to sing from chest to head in a really comfortable, easy manner. Stage 2 then is to sing better. So it's not just enough to get through the bridge. There is life after chest. There's life after the bridge. We have to be able to sing in our head voices and back down again and so forth. And so stage 2 is about singing better and singing with vibrato and being able to sustain a pitch with vibrato and to be able to to have adequate breath control and all of those kinds of things. So that all happens in stage 2. So as you're progressing along through Singer's Impact, it gives you a sense of where are you. Stage 3 is application to songs, sing songs. And stage 4 is singing mastery, which is a lifelong process of refining and improving what you're doing. So that's just an illustration of what this is all about. So if we scroll down here to the stages, and we find that behind each of these stages are the courses. And so if I wanted to open this up, this is the course Conquering Vibrato. And it's a little blurry for you there, but there are many topics and lessons here that take you step by step through vibrato. So in summary, there are 6 courses currently, and let me bring myself back into the picture here. Over 12 hours of coursework. So there are courses. But here's the problem. I was on my own. After I had my first experience with Mr. Riggs, who changed my life, I studied with a teacher locally, and she moved out of town, so I had her working with me for 6 or 7, 8 months. And then for the next 2.5 years, I didn't study with anybody. For 2.5 years, I listened to tapes from Seth Riggs, the Singing for the Stars tapes, cassette tapes. Every time I get in the car, I'd put those cassette tapes in, and I had to drive about an hour to work and an hour back, so I did a lot of singing. But the first lesson I had after I started up again, after 2.5 years, I asked this question. We're right in the middle of the lesson, and I said, we were doing an exercise like this. And I said, what is that? He said, what's what? I said, what is that? What am I in head voice or am I in falsetto? Imagine that. I'd had 6, 7 months of study, and then I listened to tapes every day for 2.5 years, and I still didn't know. I wanted someone who knew the voice. I wanted someone experienced to tell me if I was doing something right or wrong. I thought I was in head voice. And he said, that's head voice. And that helped me so immensely. So in learning to sing, even if it's just if we're just touching bass, even if it's just touching bass, let me just check over here for a second. Sorry, guys. So good. So I had some people. So Alim, you made a comment over here too, and let me just double check to make sure I can sing for hours. Okay, great. All right. We just want somebody to hear us. Brandon Frizzell, who is a new member of Singers Impact, he just wanted me to hear, am I doing this right? So he'll send me a video. Does that mix? And so but it just helps us. It helps it makes a difference if we have the ability to have someone just listen and tell us, yeah, that's right. And so what I'm doing about that is we do 4 things every month inside Singers Impact. And it's a live broadcast. 3 of them are live. The 4th one, which is the first week of the month, is a reaction video. And that's more about ear training. It's that here's a singer, this is what he's doing really well. And last month I did Stevie Wonder. And I reacted to his song Signed, Sealed, and Delivered, and highlighted different places where he was mixing, just to develop our ear to hear mix in the song, and what maybe mix wouldn't be. I show that real easy. The second week of the month is an interactive broadcast similar to this, where it's a student focus. So if you're in Singers Impact, you send me a video of you singing, like a minute cut in the bridge or the chorus or some place in the song where you're struggling, or where you want me to listen to it and let you know, is that pulled chest, or am I mixing there, or whatever kind of feedback you're looking for. I can listen to that. You tell me what you're working on, what you'd like for me to comment on, and then I listen to it and make comments. And that way you're getting personalized coaching. And it's live, so we can have interaction on a on a chat. And so this is a way to help supplement your coursework inside Singers Impact. Sometimes I have members of Singers Impact who will say, "Hey, I just want you to check and see if I'm doing my exercises right." And that's a great idea, because you could do exercises wrong and practice them for 6 months wrong. So and then the 4th week of the month we do a Q&A. It's called, the 3rd week of the month I actually work with you. People email me and say, hey, yeah, I want you to work with me this week. And so the 3rd week of the month, I bring them right into this experience. Your picture appears right next to me on this, and I work with your voice. I do a little mini lesson with you. I listen to what you're doing in your voice and give you some coaching right there, while other members of Singers Impact are watching. And I might do that with 2 or 3 people in one night, or more, depending on how long it takes. So that's a way for me to, again, have an ear on what you're doing and to be able to give you some coaching. And a lot of people just don't really want necessarily to take lessons and things, but they just want to check in. Am I doing that right? Am I on the right track? The 4th week of the month is a Q&A. It's a live Q&A. People can send me answer or questions, which is what I got here earlier in the week. We did the Green Room, it's called. And so it's an interactive Q&A, news of the month, what's coming up, and just what questions do you have for me? So that's what Singers Impact is. And then there's also an element of community to it as well. Hopefully that as I explain that, is there some questions, perhaps that I didn't answer that still are, what else can I tell you about it? Someone here, let me see, who was it? It was Alim. He said that he's new to Singer's Impact. Already he's singing better, and he's seeing an impact immediately on his voice. Okay, so Alim says, I'm looking for vibrato in the form of exercises like nay, 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 gee, 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 so I can incorporate it in my daily routine. Currently, it also has the explanation. So, I see what you're saying. So, in other words, you want the you want only the exercises without any explanation. We'll have to see about that, Alim, because I'm afraid some people won't know what exercise to do. So I'll revisit that and see what we can do. I see what you're saying. You don't want to listen to the explanations every time, but you want to be able to listen to the MP3 and do the exercises with it. Is that right? Did I understand that right? Jose Garcia, hey, nice to have you here. Hi, Chuck. Can I do 1 month? Okay, we talked about that. I don't have that set up yet. Invest in your voice for a year, and if in 30 days it's not working, tell me. Don't wait 32. Martin, communications. Okay, Martin, you're the one that started this long explanation. So I hope that helps, Martin. Does that answer some questions? Do you have some more follow-up? Truda 281, hi, nice to have you here. Ariel, hello. Oh, disregard my comment. I can see that the extras are there in the later topics. Good. Okay, Alim. Trudat 281, I'm struggling with getting a smoother tone. I am a member of Singer's Impact. I hear people with smooth tones, but I can't seem to get there. So, Trudat 281, let's get send me an email and let me know that you would like to have me work with your voice this next in April. It'll be the third Wednesday in April, and let's work on that. And I'd love to hear what you're doing. Here's the other thing you can always do. Now, I had this inside Singer's Impact for a while. Nobody used it, so I took it out. But you could always send me a recording. And, so send me a video of you. Give me like a section, like a minute of singing or something, or half a minute even, and show me an example of that. And let me do it in 2 weeks. And I'll comment on that and give you some ideas. It's hard to know for sure. I can give you some thoughts, but without hearing your voice. And that's the point of this, right? It's so much faster and understand your voice by just listening for a few minutes or a few seconds, really. I can usually tell something. I hear people with smooth tones, but I just can't seem to get there. Yeah, so you'll get there. You'll get there. Andrea says, thanks. You're welcome, Andrea. TJ, hi. YouTube used to be entertainment. Now it's like everyone trying to sell something. Yeah. After 5 years and like 400 weekly videos, I plead guilty. All of that is free, by the way. Ariel, what's a good way to eliminate vocal fry when singing? Here's the other thing, TJ. I don't work. This is my job. I don't have another job. And so if I don't have some income, then I can't do these things. I have to go I have to go find another way to make a living. So, some people are really bothered by that. But I don't know if they realize that this is my livelihood. This is not a hobby. I mean, it's both for the last 10 years. Ariel, What's a good way to eliminate vocal fry when singing? I think it's a habit at this point. Keep in mind economic inflation. Your teacher's prices would be more like today. Yeah, that's true, isn't it? Or maybe adjusted for it. Maybe you adjusted for it. Um, so, Ariel, a good way to eliminate the vocal fry when singing. If you tried this exercise, I wonder if the scratchy sound would go away. So if you said, gee, 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 gee. Now you notice I kind of did that a little bit with this imposed larynx sound. Gee, gee, gee. So it's like I'm saying duh, duh. Not just duh, but duh. Gee, gee. Gee, 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 gee. Now if the larynx comes up and I say gee, 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 that's where it starts to get scratchy and squeezy and pulled. So the dopey sound gets the larynx down, and it's shocking to me how consistently that eliminates scratch and scrape. Gee, 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 gee. Now, it's very likely that the larynx is coming up, and that's what's causing that scratch. So doing exercises like that, or gee, 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 are excellent ways to begin to work with the larynx to get it down. Now, you can hear scratch in my voice. It's 8:30. I've been talking a lot today, and I have acid reflux. And I'm 67. So, you know, I just want to have a voice so I could continue singing into my 80s, right? But I could do better with my eating, I know. And I'm a horrible sleeper. 5 hours is what I usually get, something like that. So I have to kind of work at that. When I do theater, if I'm playing an old guy, scratch doesn't matter. But yeah. So some of it's age for me and acid reflux. But in many students that I've worked with, and in my own, and in my case too, when I had the scratch in the past, that wasn't reflux, it was my larynx coming up. And as soon as my teacher got the larynx down, gee, gee, I'm exaggerating, but I just raised my larynx a little bit, and I got that scratchy sound. Okay, Corby Fox. Hey, nice to have you here. Ariel, I don't, again, she says, Ariel, I can't seem to figure out what I want to do with my voice. It's like doing impressions of people. There's a few different styles that I can do, but it feels unnatural to a point. That's an awesome comment, Ariel. And you know, I have an advantage in that I love musical theater, and there are all different genres within musical theater. You can have country, you can have rock, you can have pop, you can have just kind of standard Broadway music, like West Side Story or Music Man or something like that. And so you get all opera, like HMS Pinafore and Pirates of Penzance, the Gilbert and Sullivan music, Mikado. So there are all kinds of different genres inside the overall genre of musical theater, and that makes it really interesting to me. So I can see that, and I like singing all of those different things in the context of the musicals. But I recommend that you kind of concentrate on just your natural sound. Allow some of these influences to influence you, some of these singers that you love, but I would focus more on what songs speak to your heart. Just the songs. Don't worry about the style so much. What songs kind of speak to you? And do them as closely to your natural sound as possible and see where that takes you. What does it mean by bridging? Corby, that's a great question. If I said and I cracked, I was trying to sing from my chest voice up high and into what's known as head voice. But I couldn't do it because I kept pulling the chest voice higher and higher until it cracked. If I bridge, it sounds like this. So I'm transitioning. My voice is leaving the bottom. It's getting through this middle area, which to us guys feels like the top. It goes through this, and that's what we call the bridge. It's a transition from chest into head voice. The Italian word for it is passaggio. Passaggio, passageway. I don't know if that's a literal translation, and probably Andrea has gone to bed. It's so late over there in Italy. But passaggio, it's a passageway from chest to head voice and back down again from head to chest. That bridge area for us is a specific area of the voice. So, Corby, if I can't see your picture very well, but I'm going to guess you're a male. So for male baritones and tenors, your bridge is the E, F, F sharp. E, F, F sharp. And by the time you get to the G above middle C, you're into head voice. That's the bridge. For me, I stopped. I couldn't sing past. I could sing the E barely, but I yelled it until I discovered that there were exercises that enabled you to get through that part of the voice. That just blew my mind. And so that enabled me to sing an F, and then an F sharp, and a G, and so forth. Ended up gaining an octave in my range. Life-changing, guys and gals. Okay, Martin Communications, thank you. I appreciate your question. Ariel says, I just realized the video recommended for me next is your video on how to find your natural singing voice. Good. Yeah. Okay. Let me see. Where am I here? When I scrolled up, it went up about four levels here. Who's Mr. Riggs? Seth Riggs is he was Michael Jackson's vocal coach for 25 years, and he taught Barbra Streisand, he taught Natalie Cole, Stevie Wonder. When Stevie Wonder was 19, he had surgery on his vocal cords. From what I understand, I think Quincy Jones called Seth Riggs in Los Angeles, that's where they all lived, and asked him if he would rehabilitate a young singer's voice just out of surgery, for a vocal cord surgery, named Stevie Wonder. So Seth Riggs rehabilitated his vocal cords and worked with him intensively for like 2 or 3 weeks to get him ready for a major concert that he had to do. Stevie Wonder has never had another vocal coach. And he's been singing now for 40 plus, maybe close to 50 years, probably 40-something years as a result, and never had a problem since. That's Seth Riggs. Josh Groban, Madonna, Bette Midler, Bernadette Peters, Luther Vandross, Michael Bolton, basically star after star after star in the 60s, 70s, 80s, even 90s. He's going to be 90 years old, I think. He's going to be 90 in September. So he created a technique of exercises that cause the voice to do things, causes the voice to like keep the larynx down, causes the voice so that when you sing higher, it doesn't start to squeeze or pinch, and it enabled me to get up into my head voice for the first time after being 43 years old, and never knowing that it was possible. And so he's been my teacher. I haven't seen him for 3 years, but for about 20 years, and I've studied with many of his teachers. So he created a program called speech level singing, and for a few years there, for a number of years, there was a training program where teachers were certified. That's no longer occurring, but I went through a certification program, and then after that stopped, I still continued to see him every year, twice a year. As long as you have accessibility to something in your voice, so Corby says, as long as you have accessibility to something in your voice, then you will progress. Yeah, if it's done well, if it's done right. I mean, you can yell in the upper range of your voice, and then you might have a hemorrhage or you might get nodules. So you don't want just to have it accessible. You want it to have it good. Andrew, do you have any tips for teenage boys trying to find mix? I'm a bass trying to be successful in children's musical theater. Yeah, so most teenage boys can profit and can benefit from the exercises for pulled chest, high larynx. Now, I have had some teenage boys that were also light chest, no chest. So I can't make a complete blanket statement like that. But the vocal cords change. They get thick and long when we go through puberty. And as a result of going through puberty, we get locked out of our head voice. And for many of us, we don't know the difference. We think, okay, the voice has changed. Now my new high note is the E above middle C. Well, that's not true. And a lot of boys feel this way. They think it's over. They're never going to be able to sing the songs they used to sing. And that may be true to some extent. They're not going to sound like they used to. But it's possible for teenage boys to get their head voice back. And I would recommend they do exercises for pulled chest, high larynx. They're going to be difficult. And so the number 2 recommendation is be patient. Because the voice will be changing, not just dropping. It drops in 6 months. It's going to be changing for 6 years. If your voice changes when you're 13, you're still going to be experiencing some hormonal changes all the way through age 19, in many cases. And the deeper the voice, the thicker the chords, the longer the chords, the more difficult it is. I found tenors have a little less struggle than the more bass baritone voices. So patience. It's the hardest time in a boy's life, in a man's life, to try and sing during puberty. But it's not the end. It's just a change, and you can regain head voice, just like I demonstrated here a minute ago. Okay. So there's a conversation going here. I'm not sure if I can, Andrew, what I learned is that you must have a strong chest voice to find your head voice and connect the two. Yeah, so in terms of, some people ask me the question, well, what should I just work on chest voice for a while and then like maybe work on head voice for a while and then try and connect the middle? No. Establish chest voice like this. Just get that chest voice going. For the ladies, it's more prevalent with the ladies, but I've had plenty of boys, plenty of young men, not a lot of adult men, but plenty of young men who are saying ah ah. They don't talk that way, but for some reason when they start singing, they don't have chest. So you've got to get them in chest. Ah 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 na 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 na. But then you go right for the bridge. You start doing exercises right for the bridge. And then and then you get up to head as soon as you can. And you start working back and forth. Chest, middle, head, chest, middle, head, middle, chest, head, middle, chest. And that's the way you work the voice. Imagine thinking, if you're going to play the piano, that you spend the first 3 or 4 years on the left hand, and then the next 4 years on the right, and then you try and put them together. No, you work it as a unit, as a whole, and that's the way you do with the voice too. Make sure you're actually in head voice and not falsetto. Yes, just check the link. It says enrollment's closed. Okay, Martin, you must live outside of this. Let me see. You did say you were somewhere. Where did you say you were? I can't remember where you live. You're going to have to email me, and I'm going to have to open it for you. And I'll do that for you guys that are here tonight, because it's still 3 hours to midnight here. But everybody gets the time signature in the timing in their time zone. That countdown is in your time zone, so it closes. So you're just going to have to email me if you want me to. Just let me know. It was Martin Communications. Let me know who was the other one that mentioned that it was closed. Andrea from Italy. If you guys want in, email me at chuck@power to sing. But do it soon. Don't email me in a month. Email me tomorrow. Which might be today where you are. Okay. Andrew says, thanks. I have a strong head voice, and I've worked on my chest voice and the basics for a while. Now I am just trying to connect the two. Glad to hear I'm not the only one out there. Yep, get after it, Andrew. I started in chest, I went through the bridge, and went up into my head. Just doing that exercise alone will provide tremendous benefit, because it starts connecting all 3 areas of the voice. Sydney, rhythm master. Corby Fox, imagine your voice as an instrument. Okay. Yeah, thanks, Alim. Totally normal. Sirens, lip rolls, eliminating the tongue will help you a ton. Okay, you guys, let me see. Let me see what else I can answer here. How can I bring in vibrato when I sing in a loud head voice, but when I go lower and quiet, it falls off track and stops? It's probably just practicing it, Corby Fox. So as you're up higher, the vocal cords are longer, and as you get down lower, they're shorter. You might be going too soft in the bottom. So you want to practice doing other exercises to make them all feel equal. Nay, 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 nay. If we say nay, 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 that's not equal. When I'm all feeling about the same. Nay, 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 nay. No, 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 no. If we get that equality going in the voice, then it's going to be easier when we start to sustain the note and when we start doing vibrato on it. So if I said no, 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 no. So that's an exercise that you may want to try. No, no, ma, 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 ma. have to take a big breath. So you want to practice both the top and the bottom. When the vocal cord is stretched out and when the vocal cord is contracted. So when it's under a different stretch. Okay, so let me get to some other questions here. Let me see what's going on in on the Facebook side of things. Brandon says, "Hey Chuck, what would be the cause for running out of breath when singing?" The causes for running out of breath, oftentimes, well, it would be related to two things. But one of them could be, I found this very often. People say, "Well, I have a breath problem," and then when they sing, they're saying, "Ah." Their vocal cords aren't coming together, and so they're losing air too fast. So they run out of air too fast. Other times is that they're not taking a low breath, and they're not pulling they're not allowing the diaphragm to drop, filling up with air. So the way that looks is like this. Breathing, if we're breathing shallow, this high chest and affecting the neck, that's going to be shallow breath, and we're not going to have enough air. So we want to be able to, if I stand up straight, shoulders back, hips rolled in, and my tummy's pulled in a little bit, if I relax and let this, it's like a balloon here that I'm filling up with air. There's not, of course, and I'm not even really filling up here. Pretend there's a balloon here, though. And when you inhale, you can inhale through your nose or your mouth. Through your nose is more moist and feels better, but sometimes when we're singing that doesn't work. So fill this balloon up, and then as you're singing, you pull it in. Ma 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 ma. Now I've kept it pulled in. I'm not jerking it in, I'm just leaving it in so that when I take a breath, I just have to relax. And now my lungs filled up with air. Air goes in when I relax, and when I pull it in, it's like the Heimlich maneuver, right? Now you don't have to pop it like that. Just pull it in gently, like there's a little string attached, and let it come out, fill up with air. So, that'll go a long way towards, sorry about that, towards alleviating breathing problems. Vocal cord, adequate closure of the vocal cord so there's not a lot of air escaping or too much air escaping, and then that low breath. Sometimes it's called diaphragmatic breathing. All right. Let me see if I can get, there's so many questions here, you guys, and I appreciate them. Please be patient with me as I get through them. I've made a mistake and trouble finding mixed voice. It makes your voice crack like crazy. Oh, okay. So he's answering another question there. Thanks, I have a strong head voice, worked on my chest voice. Glad to hear. Not the only one. All right, so I kind of lose my place here when I get up and do that. Oh, I was taking a question from over here in the Facebook. All right. Imagine your voice as an instrument similar to piano. Okay, we've gone through that. Sorry, I'm just trying to regain my place here. Wayne Wang, or Wayne Wong, is it true that people who have bigger larynx and longer neck are more likely to be baritones and vice versa? I don't know. I can't answer that. I don't have enough data, and I haven't read anything that tells me there's a correlation, Wayne. So I suppose it makes sense, but I don't know that it's I don't know that it's necessarily supported by real scientific data. Corby Fox says, I've never heard that before. I would imagine no. My friend has a short, fat neck. Okay, so there's an answer. Already we're out of, we're off the paradigm is suppose we suppose it to be one way, and here's an example already that it doesn't fit. So he can sing really high effortlessly. Jose says, I've been watching American Idol. Notice that in falsetto they are using more breathy sound. Is that correct? I appreciate what you do. Thanks, Jose. Yeah, so it could be a light head voice, though. Yeah, that's just head voice, light head voice. So it's not necessarily the sound that makes falsetto. It's the condition of the vocal cords. In head voice, if I were looking at your neck right here, I would be looking at the end, the front and the back. I'd be looking from front to back. Okay, so I'm looking at the vocal cords like this, and in head voice, let's just say, in chest voice, the vocal cords are really enjoying full range of motion here. In head voice, there's some data to support that it doesn't come together all the way down here, but it's still the muscle. If this is an outer layer, this top was the outer layer of the vocal folds, which would be like the mucosa. It would just be the falsetto would be like this, ah, in slow motion, ah. But notice that these muscles here aren't doing anything. Ah, but if I'm in head voice, ah, I'm not deep as I am in chest, but the muscle is still engaged in the production of head voice. So in head voice, you have muscle engaged in the vocal cords, and in falsetto, there's a disconnect. There's the muscle disengages. It's not involved at all. And so it's just the outer layer of the vocal folds. Now, they vibrate in the same place. They vibrate, typically, the falsetto vibrates in head on the high notes. Now, I can bring my falsetto down to lower notes. So that's the G, and my voice, in order to get into the chest, the muscle has to come back in. The muscle has to re-engage, and so I get a little click. In head voice, that doesn't happen because the muscle's already engaged. The muscle is already engaged the whole time. So I've got a connection to the bottom. I don't have to reconnect. That's falsetto. It's not how it sounds. It's the condition of the vocal cords. And then you find out if you're in falsetto, you can't get in the chest without cracking. Kyle says, Wayne, I have a long neck, and I am not entirely automatically a baritone. What do ya do? I'm like a tenor. 1. Thanks, guys. Okay. Yeah, so it's a good way to get your question answered. Just throw it out here and let all of us, fat-necked, short-necked, long-necked, skinny-necked people respond. Aha, you're doing good, man. All right, so yes, Jose, it is more breath and delicate, and you don't feel like a vibration. Is it true that acid reflux will damage your vocal cords? Is it true that acid reflux will damage your vocal cords? Yes. It will burn the mucosa layer off, and if it's severe enough, it doesn't repair. And so you can get a fuzzy, hoarse sound all the time. Actually, Seth Riggs has had some very serious bouts of reflux, and he's kind of got a huskier voice now as a result. He didn't have that when he was on Broadway and when he was in the Opera House in New York as a younger man. But this is just, things like that happen when you're older. But So that's what I'm trying to do, is not absolutely burn my vocal cords to death. I have a kind of acid reflux called laropharyngeal exit LPR, laropharyngeal reflux LPR. It's called the silent reflux. I very rarely get acid heartburn, or burning. It's more of a always there but not really noticed kind of reflux, which is the pits still. Max says, "What is your opinion on Celine Dion?" I think she is a chest puller. Yeah, there are definite places, Max. I think you're right. I don't know. I haven't listened to all of her work and for all the years. I think there may have been some years which she was a little more careful, but yeah, I definitely have heard that before and heard her pull chest. She just does it really well. So that's part of the problem of being such a good singer. You can do it wrong so well, that. Andre says, "No, I'm here." Okay, Andre. My gosh, you're up. Yeah, you're a late night person. Me too, Andre. Hey, it's nearly 3 a.m. in England. Ink, you're a monster, man. That's amazing. Hope you have a chance to sleep in tomorrow. Maya Braza. Hi. How do you increase vocal agility, flexibility for faster riffs and runs? Well, I think first of all, you want to avoid reflux. Reflux and swelling and illness, being sick and all that swells up your vocal cords, and it doesn't matter how great you are, you don't have a lot of agility and flexibility. But I would say, first of all, you want to make sure your technique is right, because if you're pulling chest through the bridge, it's going to get harder, not easier. So when you're working your voice, if you say and you start pulling, it doesn't matter how fast, how great, how wonderful your riffs and runs are, because you're going to lose it. Because the voice is going to get so abused, it's just going to shut down, and your vibrato is going to stop. It's going to slow and turn into a wobble. So your technique has got to be sound. Step number one, good technique. Step number two is you've got to do some fast exercises and some slow exercises. You've got to do some fast and some sustains. And you want to do them precisely and evenly, and again, correct technique. All of those things will help you. Now, the way I think to learn riffs and runs is to listen to the singers you like to follow who do that, and you can dial the speed down on YouTube. Open that little wheel and change the speed to slow it down, and then learn each riff one by one, slowly, and then dial up the speed a little bit, and then take it up another notch until you're able to do it. Inking, would you say Seth Riggs is the best vocal coach alive? For me, yes. My life has changed. I mean, it's totally. It's in, he's an amazing teacher for a number of reasons, not just because he's got a great technique, but because he's empathetic, he listens. The second year he started working regularly with my voice, he said to me, I think Chuck, that you are a basso cantata. You need to bridge at the A, B flat, B, and C. Well, I told teachers for years, I always felt something at the B below middle C, and people would say, well, you're just approaching the bridge, so you're starting to feel something. Nope. Seth was the first to say, I think you should bridge earlier. So he's got an amazing ear. His knowledge is incredible. He's taught the best, and he's had 120 Grammys won by his students, and he's worked with hundreds and hundreds of stars, the top stars, movies. He's been the music consultant for, many movies. So I would say you'd be pretty hard pressed. And he's taught. You look at a lot of the great teachers in the world today. They could trace their pedigree back to Seth Riggs. So I can only really speak for myself and what I see in his students. And I have a friend that's one of my mentors and teachers who said, if I could find somebody that did it better, I would follow them. But he has not, and he's been all over the world. So I would say, Inc., you couldn't go wrong with that estimation. Of course, there's a lot of jealousy in the world, and people disagree with everybody about everything. But I can only speak for myself and say that it's had a huge impact on my voice, and my students have experienced the same thing in many ways. Now I'm really curious about Chuck's vocal range. Okay, so I'm kind of growling that. So that's the low E. And it's not just my range, but it's the heft, it's the weight, it's the bigness of the lower voice. So. So 1, 2, 3 octaves, and that was the the A flat 5. That was more of a squeak, but not too bad considering my high note was the E above middle C when I was 43. But in terms of usable, I have sung a high C in a show. I played Juan Perón in Evita, and he's got this really fun duet with Evita, and they sing high C, and you just run through it. It doesn't sustain on the high C, but I've sung a high C, and there was no way I could have done that before this technique. I've also auditioned for a show where I used a song with a B flat. Is that right? Yeah, B flat, and B flat 4. And I would have never in a million years guessed that that was even in the realm of possibility. So, yeah, you guys, I credit that all to Seth Riggs, because even all my teachers were taught by him. Okay, so Kyle B says, Chuck, your materials have helped me immensely. I'm really busy these days, but you'll hear more from me soon. Great, Kyle. Thank you. I'm very excited to hear that. Martin Communications, Texas. Okay. Huh. I thought you told me. Well, I'm probably getting mixed up here. Inc. says, Chuck, sometimes when I do the neigh exercises, they connect for the bridge, but other times they'll break and flip into falsetto. How do I keep the neighs from flipping? If I go witchier, they still flip. Go quieter. Do it softer. I find that's probably one of the biggest mistakes that I made early on, even as a teacher, that I had people doing it too loud. It doesn't have to be. Nay, 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 nay. Also, Ink, some of it depends on your age. How old are you? Kelvin, Chuck, you're a true gentleman. Thank you for giving your time. No one else in the singing world is as open and generous. Well, that's a big statement, Calvin, but I I appreciate that. I'm not trying to be anything. I truly have had an experience with this technique that's brought me incredible joy. You know, I was at a point in my life where the love of my life in high school was musical theater, and I just lost all my confidence. My voice, you know, I realized when I got into college I couldn't sing as high as the other scholarship students were, and I was not scholarshiped, but I was a music major. But all of the good singers could sing way up into their head voices, and yeah, I just didn't know. And my teacher was trained. She had her college. She had a master's in musical performance. She had an album. She sang opera. She had a classical classical music album that she created. She was a well-known teacher, but she didn't know anything about men's head voice, or even women's head voice for that matter. She didn't know anything about the bridge. She didn't know, and she didn't know she didn't know. She wasn't withholding information from me. She told me if I didn't have vibrato, if I wasn't born with vibrato, I didn't have it. I was 44 years old before I found out that it was possible to get vibrato. Can you imagine? So, you know, why am I talking about that? Oh, I know. Yeah, so I'm just trying to get the word out because it's been so meaningful to me. I've done 40 shows now, musical theater productions, and a lot of lead singing roles that have meant the world to me. My whole life changed. So I want to let people know what the truth is about their voices, because I thought I was genetically impaired, or I wasn't born with the gift or something. It's just not true. You just don't know how to do it, and that's what I found out. I just didn't know how to do it. Okay, I'm getting on my soapbox now, but thanks, Kelvin. I wish I could tell the whole world. I wish every male who was locked into his chest voice, every female who was plagued by a persistent crack, on the C5, the C sharp 5, and the D5, and I wish I could let everyone know that there's a way to fix it. It's a way to overcome those things and to get really good. Thanks for asking all the questions. Corby says you're a true music lover because all you do is inspire and spread your information. So thanks. Yeah, I'm trying to make a living, and I'm not ashamed to say I'm trying to make a living at it. But I'm motivated. I'm motivated by what it does for us. I'm not kidding you. It's, I got to tell you. I got so many pictures of me in musical theater. One of these days I'm going to hang them up in my studio. But it's just, it's been so wonderful. I've just loved it. And I love singing. I love being on stage. I love teaching. That's one of the things I found out when I went back. Well, I actually started training as a teacher early on, but I had another career, and I have a hard time doing two things at once. So I did shows, but I didn't teach. So I studied this technique for a long time without teaching it, but I could tell that I was very curious about it and why it worked so well and how it was how it was affecting my voice and my life. And so I kind of had I admit I kind of had a knack for learning and asking the right questions, and I've always been a fairly decent teacher in different things. In my career, in my other career, I did well training people. So anyway, it's kind of I don't know. There are a lot of great teachers out there, but I'm pretty excited about being able to teach this. Okay. M. Koss. Hi, M. How can I hear myself better when I sing? M, I have myself this is an H5 Zoom recorder, and it's an MP3 recorder. I had a Tascam for 9 years. I loved that. Record yourself singing. You don't really need, what you hear inside your head is going to be always a little bit different. But record yourself and listen back. And you won't believe how fast you can progress by recording your practicing, recording any lessons that you take, and listening back to those, and really studying, listening your voice. It's amazing how fast you can progress. That's what I recommend. Record yourself and listen to it. Also, I have a lot of breath when I sing. My breath has its one show. I can't control it all the time. What can I do to have a better airflow and have a balanced sound? Thank you very much. So, the diaphragmatic breathing helps, and I've showed that earlier in this video. And so you, let me see, how do I get viewed here? I have to move this. I have to move my chat box out of the way. So we have to fill this up with air and then pull your tummy in gradually as you do it. Now, I've used this imagery. I'll give you an image that I have in my mind, and I've used that with some of my students. It's helped them. I pretend like if this is the back of a truck and it's going down the highway or down the road and I'm behind it in a car, I use this idea that I have to send my air, the air of my mouth, and it has to hit the back of the truck. And I have to keep pushing that air forward on that truck. If I stop, it stops. My vocal cords stop. They have to get enough air, right, to play well together, to play nicely. And so I have found that if I'm holding a note, so think about it. What you're really doing is you're sending a steady flow of air out, and it's always moving away from you. If you hesitate or stop or pull back, the vocal cords are going to stop. So you're going to get scratchy sound, or the vocal cords you're going to get a bump or a crack or something like that, because now the vocal cords won't fluctuate. So use that imagery to think about pushing the sound. My teacher used to say, pretend like there's a hole in the wall and you're going to send that sound right through that hole. Pretend there's a hole right through the wall in front of you, or across this. You're going to sing through the hole and across the street. Oh, that's just a mind thing, We just have to have something inside. You got to take that low breath, pull your tummy in. But once that air is flowing, just imagine it's got to keep moving. And put it on the back of a truck and keep pushing that truck down the highway. Not hard, just gently. Just keep that lean. Just lean your air against the back of that truck. And if you stop, the truck stops. That's not speech level singing, that's just me. Okay, so Ink says, I'm 22. I've tried doing it quieter, but when I do, it makes me lose connection, and I break into falsetto due to my lack of energy I'm using. Okay, well, it sounds like you've got it identified. There are some other things. Again, the larynx may be coming up, so I would do it a different way. If the nays are, you don't want to just do one exercise all the time. if you're having trouble with them and they're not working, go to another exercise. Do the opposite. Go with the low larynx. Something like that. And try it another way. Oh, thank you. M says, I can see studying with Seth has had a major impact on your singing career. I'm really glad for you. Thanks. Your story almost made me cry. M, it has made me cry, and if I get too into it, I will cry. Melodic Moogle. Hey, Melodic. Oh, I recognize your avatar there. Some people just automatically know how to go into each singing type. Yeah, I think so. I think that's really true. Chuck, do you think it's possible for a person to get depressed due to not being able to sing above the passaggio and not being able to sing the way they want to? Yes. And they get depressed also about money, and they get depressed about not having a date this weekend, and they get depressed about being too short, and they get depressed about walking funny, and they get depressed about, it's probably not so much that they're a singer, but it's probably more of a mental attitude that happens in other areas of their lives too. And not to throw anybody under the bus, but why would you choose that reaction? Get into it and solve it. It's possible. Melodic Moogle says, I hate them. Yeah, I saw on the internet a little girl named Gracie, I think is her name, and she was born with perfect pitch, and they discovered this when she was 4. And then now she's like 6 or 7, and she can hear something and tell you what the key it is and sing it perfectly back, and even like play it on instruments. And I think that's a gift she was born with. And I didn't even come close to that. And so, yeah, so, don't compare yourself to others. You'll always find somebody better and somebody worse. Chuck, do you think it's possible for a person to get... Yep, I do. Melody says there are apps that work as music studios, and you can hear yourself sing while you're singing. Yeah, and there are also apps that will tell you if you're on pitch or not. That's really pretty amazing. Veg Newbie. I just found your website today. I can't figure out where to find the cost of your program. So it's not advertised on my program, Veg Newbie, but let's see. Yeah. It's $198 for a year, $16.50 a month, $4.13 a week, which is how much a cup of Starbucks Cafe Mocha costs, or a 10-piece chicken McNugget. You can get that for $4.13. Actually, it's less than that. So it's $16.50 paid annually. So annually it's $198, and the month to month is $37. So some people have done that, and a lot of people do the annual. And there's a 30-day money-back guarantee. If in 30 days it's not working for you, let me know. In 32 days, you're out of luck. I never do that. But if you contact me within that period of time, if you're a total beginner, then I think this is a good place for you to start. But I don't know what you mean by total beginner. I'll tell you what this is not for. If you know that you can't find the pitch, if you know you have a hard time staying on pitch, then the Singer's Impact is not for you. In fact, studying with me is not for you. I don't have a lot of expertise in that kind of training of helping people stay on pitch. If you can stay on pitch and hear the melody and match it with your voice, then I can help you. Otherwise, it's almost more expensive. It's almost more expensive to. It'd be cheaper to go spend some money on apps. You'll find lots of programs online that these programs online will help you with ear training. And then when you've got your ear developed, then you're ready for this. This is the next level. Melodic Mugos, I've been practicing the light chest you told me, and to add adduction to my voice. How long do you think I see a difference? You should see it immediately, Melodic Mughal. In other words, if you say ah 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 in the exercise, ah nay 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 nay. But if you do that in the exercise and say nay nay nay, but then as you're doing the exercises you start to say nay 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 nay, it's not that you can't get the vocal cords together, it's that you're in a habit of letting go. And so the question isn't necessarily how long is it going to take to get your vocal cords together. How long is it going to take to work from the inside? That is, not accept anything other than nay, 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 nay. Now, I will say, I have had students who, particularly female students, and particularly younger female students in their early teens, maybe 13, 12, 13, 14, 15, who are shy. And they have a hard time speaking up, so even their speaking voice is soft. And so if their speaking voice is soft, I can't say, sing like you speak. No, don't do that. They have a difficulty. The challenge is they have to overcome their, they have to overcome how they view themselves, their self-image, because they identify as being shy and retiring and quiet. And singers aren't. Singers are not shy, they're not retiring, and they're not quiet. That's a hard thing to learn to sing if you identify as being that kind of person. If you don't, it's not going to take you very long to get your vocal cords going. Ah, ah, na 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 na. And record yourself and listen to yourself. Listen to your practice sessions and work on that until you get it and you start feeling it. Oh, that's what that feels like. And then you can start repeating it. A lot of times it's because we don't even really know what it feels like to get your vocal cords together. So when someone asks me, how long do you think it's going to be to see a difference? It can be immediate. My daughter, I had 5 daughters. My second daughter sang in her junior high school choir, and she was really light and breathy. She was one of the 3 daughters that went to see Seth Riggs, and then we went to study with one of his teachers. It was like 2 weeks later. She came back and she wasn't getting her vocal cords together when she sang the first time. The second time, she got her vocal cords together. In other words, she didn't say, "Twinkle, twinkle, little star, now I wonder what you are." That's the way she sang the first time. When she came back, it's not the song she sang, but an illustration. She said, "Twinkle, twinkle, little star, how I wonder what you are." Not are. She just got her vocal cords together. Her teacher said, "What have you been doing? Your voice is so much stronger." That's what this technique did. But she did it in 2 weeks. Okay. Shelley, Ann, hi. Chuck, how many lessons do I get if I pay for the year? These are, so if you buy the annual program, you're not buying lessons. We can figure it out though, but you're not paying for private lessons with me. What you're buying is a membership site that has 12 hours of courses inside them. In 6 courses, there's 12 hours of coursework, and it starts you towards the beginning, and it takes you through some more advanced exercises. And then we have 3 live broadcasts and another video posting that I post every month where we do additional training. And in some of those cases, that can be one-on-one. For example, if you wanted me to listen to how your exercises are going, you send me a video clip of you doing the exercises or an audio clip and ask me for some feedback. That's what you're paying for. You're paying for me to give you some time, and most of that is going to be while other members of Singers Impact are going to be watching. So it's kind of a group class, and it's online group class. And they get to make comments or ask questions. That's always really nice, and everybody's friendly because we're all in the boat, same boat together. So yeah, you're not paying for private lessons. If someone's a member of Singers Impact and they want to study with me, it's $75 for 30 minutes. But there is a whole lot of work to do in terms of the courses, and there are a lot of opportunities every month throughout the year for me to be able to hear you and give you some personal coaching. Even work with your voice right online. A little mini lesson while other people are watching and listening too. And so that could happen periodically throughout the year, and there's no additional charge for that. That's all a part of what we're doing. So that's a good question, Shelley Ann, and I hope that what I've published out there hasn't misled anybody in any way. Patrick Peterson, can I ask you something? No. Okay. Can I ask you something? Yes. When I try to sing higher, people say it sounds like I have too much tension and strain. That's a statement. What is your question? Is your question why do they say that, or why? So my question to you is, do you have too much strain and tension? Or are you saying you don't notice it, but other people are telling you? So here's my take on it, Patrick. Okay, how do I sing with less tension? Gotcha. Great. Thanks. What is happening is as you get closer to your vocal bridge, and for us guys, that's usually around the E, F, F sharp above middle C. When I was young, and until I was age 43, I couldn't sing past the E. And as I sang closer to that, and that is closer to my bridge, and a bridge is a passageway up into my head voice, as I get closer to that bridge, I would strain and squeeze and yell. Ah! And most of the time it was a little flat. Ah! Because I thought that was, I couldn't sing any higher. And so it just got really hard to do. Now, some guys are really much better at that than I was, and they can get through there, but they're still kind of pulling and squeezing. Some guys can do that. I couldn't do that. So the answer is you've got to learn how to bridge. That means you have to learn how to transition from your chest voice into your head voice. And you do that through that bridge area, that E, F, F sharp, G above middle C. When you're able to do that, then the tension begins to leave, and the straining leaves, and the voice gets sounding better, and you're no longer having pitch problems and so forth. So, if I said, that sounds so easy to do, and it is. But I couldn't do that. I couldn't do that without well, I just couldn't do it. I'd stop. I wouldn't go any higher than the E because it would break. Ah, into falsetto, or I had to yell, and it hurt to do that. So you got to learn how to bridge, Patrick, and that's the whole key to this thing. That's why it's in my stage 1 in terms of singers' impact progress. Stage 1 is bridging. M, costs. If someone cannot start this time with the course, when is the next time subscription is open again? How are you taking new members? Right now it's going to be closed, and I don't have an open date. It was closed for 19 months before, and I don't want to wait that long this time, but I don't have a date identified, M. I'm going to be working on it, and when I do, I'll let people know. But at this time, I'm not sure. Inc. Chuck, do you know why some people can sing above the passaggio by pulling, but others will flip at the passaggio? Yes, they have a gift. They usually are like a good tenor, and so they can pull their voice through the bridge. And so they can do it badly. They can do it wrong. Really, they can do it. They can do it wrong and sound pretty good until it catches up with them, and they eventually crack. If it's a tenor, they'll crack at the B flat, A, B flat, B area. It'll finally catch them there, and they'll have a little crack. They have to switch. So usually interestingly enough, the good singers, a good natural born singer can pull their chest voice up there pretty nicely. But then they end up getting hoarse, and as they age, they can't do it as well. Their vibrato slows and that kind of thing. Or as in the case of Adele, you get a hemorrhage, your hemorrhage on your vocal folds, and which is a blood vessel breaks. So you get bleeding, and that usually requires surgery. Okay, great, Patrick says. Wayne, by pulling the voice, does that mean raising the larynx? Both of them go hand in hand, Wayne. So if I say, if the larynx stays down, if I impose it down, let's say I do it this way, oh, it's a lot harder for me to pull my chest voice when the larynx is down. So when I pull my chest voice up, the larynx is always coming up. I'm going in the swallowing mode. It just cuts everything off. So, it closes everything off, and when you swallow, the larynx goes up and back down. And so, that's why people have so much trouble, and they're going into swallowing mode, and so the larynx is being pulled up as the chest voice is being pulled. If you said sometimes you can feel the larynx move up and down. So a lot of times it's all kind of intertwined, but it's I don't recall the time when I saw somebody pull their chest voice and the larynx stayed down. Basically, it's it's kind of a combination of things. The vocal cords have to adjust as you go through the bridge. They have to thin out. There has to be a reduction of the mass of the vocal folds, because if they're too thick, then the sound ends up hitting the hard palate and backs and puts more pressure on the vocal folds, and so part of it's resonance. If the resonance isn't able to go past the hard palate, the roof of the mouth, and go up into the head, then that's another cause. But they're almost always accompanied by a high larynx. They go both hand in hand. Okay, I'm seeing the end of questions. Half of you have gone to bed because you live on the other side of the world. That's what is happening, my brother. Hey, Ben, nice to have you here. So yeah, so we've got people who are in Italy and somewhere else tonight, the UK, and that have gone to sleep. Okay, what's your question, Ben? Have you seen the Phantom Menace? Is it new? I'm not. When you say it, I can't think that I have seen it. I've seen most all of the Marvel shows, but I don't remember seeing the Phantom Menace. Sorry. Veg Wow, you're in Japan? Holy smackers, that's a long ways away. It must be morning there by now, huh? I want to ask a question. I'm far from my bedtime. Okay. Matthew, what do you got? You crazy John Williams, you composed the dang thing, silly. Uh, I love John Williams. He's composed a lot of great music, hasn't he? Okay. Well, I think, okay, Matthew would ask, how would you recommend I get my daughter to eat more? Now, you know this is about singing, right? Um, but I do have 5 daughters, Matt, and we've raised 8 children. We have 3 boys and 5 girls. I never had a daughter who would not eat. I had some daughters who ate less than others, but I never had that problem. Never had a son that wouldn't eat. So, do they not like your food? Is it because they don't like the taste, or is she concerned about her weight? That's another issue completely. How old is she? I guess is the other question. Veg newbie, I want to sing Freddie Mercury, Al Green, the Beatles. Good. Um, all good, lots of good music in that. Principal Brennigan is a musician and caused the problem. Hmm. Principal Brennigan is a musician and caused the problem. He didn't take us to his cabin in the mountains, so she won't eat. Yeah, I don't know what to tell you. Any help here from you guys? Ladies and gentlemen, any feedback for Matthew? How long should a person expect it to take them to sound good for beginners? How would you define sound good? Are you saying sound good when you sing a song, sound good doing the exercises, sound good sustaining a note? Um, been there, Matt. Tough business. Had a couple of principals injecting themselves in my life. Yeah, sorry guys. Can't. It's out of my realm of expertise. I just didn't have those particular things. Ruined Mel's lemonade for me. Okay, so we're getting into a realm of area that's not really my expertise, so I might just bring this to a close. I have a decent sounding singing voice. Um, True that. I have a decent sounding singing voice. Okay. Well, I don't think it's gonna. I don't think it takes anyone too long to sound sound decent. Pretty good. The biggest challenge in sounding good or sounding bad, I think, is pitch. And again, as I mentioned, if you have a pitch issue, real pitch problem. I'm not talking about pitches as you get close to the bridge. That corrects itself when you start learning how to bridge. But no, I don't. I think we're just talking weeks. where you can start to sound pretty good. Now, what do you sound like when you go through the bridge? What do you sound like when you try and get louder or softer? How much control do you have over your voice? How much crescendo, decrescendo can you do? Pavarotti, who Pavarotti was, he did an interview with someone, and he showed how he could sing the F. He said, ah, and he said, now that might be all right. He did it better than that, but he said it's not elegant. He says you're not really a true tenor until you can cover, which I think he was talking like more of a mix. And he had this like amazing Pavarotti sound. He said, now that might sound easy. Take maybe 10 years to do that. That's Pavarotti, professional singer, professional opera, one of the all-time greats ever. It took him 10 years to do what he felt like was a good F above middle C. So if you're about like Pavarotti and you want to sing at the Metropolitan Opera, maybe 10 years for a note or two. That's in a 20-year, out of the 20 years he was actually singing on, 10 of those years he was working on that note. So, on the other hand, if you just want to sing, to your kids, there's a whole range of good and a whole range of bad, but I think you can get pretty good pretty soon. Me, probably 12 to 18 months till I really felt like I started to get a handle on things. But even then I wasn't. I mean, I've made so much progress since then. Can you explain how vibrato works? Iago asks. I wanted to learn how to do it with my voice. Yeah. So Iago, just do this for me. Say, take your hands like this. And shake it a little bit. Shake the body up. Get that voice kind of shaking a little bit, and see if you can get a feeling of vibrato there. Try that. That's the first way I think I started, and it was great. I mean, all of a sudden I felt it kind of like vibrate. My voice vibrated. So that's a beginning right there. You have to induce it if you don't have it naturally, which I didn't. And so I had to induce that sound, and doing your hands like that works pretty well. It's pretty fast. Then stop your hands, but continue the vibrato. Just simple things like that. There is a vibrato course inside Singer's Impact. I think it's a good one. Okay. Gordon Lightfoot. Jim, okay, can you explain how vibrato works? I'm a little lost here on Gordon Lightfoot. I stink. Any advice? My singing, that is. What do you mean you stink? Define you stink. In King, when you first found out to sing above the Passaggio in your head voice, how long did it take you to develop and mixed voice and be able to sing G4s to A4s in songs? Well, in songs on stage that I was performing, or in songs that I was practicing in, on my own, and for me, I would say, let me see, 2009, 1999. I had an F. I sang an F in Man of La Mancha on stage. I don't know. I would say probably like, what would that have been? It kind of stumped me there, because I could sing those notes in exercises. I started the technique in 1990, end of 96, end of November of 96. A few weeks of practice in December. Probably January 97's more consistent with more practice, but 97, 2007. I don't know. That's a good question. I sang in F 8 months after I started, which was, really amazing for me. And then I stopped taking lessons for a while and didn't try to do anything much higher than that. I did, I was cast as the Tin Man in The Wizard of Oz, and the guy named Bazzard in I forgot the name of the show now. It's one of Dickens's unfinished stories. And I did pretty early on, Fagin, and I could do, I could sing. I probably did some. I don't think I did this in the show, but let me see. What was he? I think I'll have to think. I think I'll have to think. Let me see. What is it he says? In this life, one thing counts. In the bank, large amounts. I'm afraid these don't grow on trees. You got to pick a pocket or two. You got to pick a pocket or two, boys. I think I did that once or twice in the show. So, that was probably 5 or 6 years into it. But that was just for fun, just kind of playing. Yeah, probably 5 or 6 years at least for me to do something in a show that was significant. But G's and A's, I've mainly been cast in parts where I'm a baritone bass, so those didn't happen very often. I did sing a G in HMS Pinafore. I played Captain Coqueran, and that was fun. So that was back in 90. That was in 2009. So that would have been like 10 years later, where I actually did it in a show. Can you explain how to have your voice sound good outside of your own head? Meaning the pitch sounds good in my head, but when recorded, it sounds significantly different. Yeah. So Patrick, when I'd take some lessons and I'd get in the car all excited and I'd throw my cassette tape in to listen to my lesson as I was driving down the highway, and invariably I was disappointed. I thought I had sounded so much better than that, and that went on for several years. I think like three or 4 years where I wasn't that happy with the sound of my voice. I feel much different about that now, but so it took me about that long. I'm not sure that's any longer or shorter than anybody else. It's probably different for different people. The resonance sounds different. It does sound different. It always sounds different. What we hear in our head and what people hear outside us are completely different. And that's good, because when we're in our head voice, it's much stronger than we think. It feels light to us, but to the listeners, it's much stronger than what we think. So, so Patrick, I think it's good that you listen to your voice, and you just keep working it. You just keep after it, and it's going to get better if you're doing the exercises correctly and so forth. I'm getting used to just singing songs with my own voice. Trudal 281 says, I was trying to sound like the artist instead of singing in my own voice. Oh, what a great insight that is. Yeah, the longer we try and imitate other people, the worse it gets. Can you touch on this subject just in case someone else has this issue? Yeah, I remember thinking, what is my sound? What am I supposed to sound like? And because um, I'd hear these great singers like on Broadway, and I'd want to sound like them. And so Trudel, when I first started studying, when I came in to start singing, like for her to get to know my voice, I tried to sing something from Les Miserables, Stars, that Javert sings, and it ends on a D, stars, and I sang stars. I put that little knurtle in my voice because somebody told me once, that's it, yeah, do that. That makes it sound more, more piercing. So I sang, stars! Well, my gosh. That's what gets us into trouble. When we start chasing a sound, and try and make our voices do that, we invariably introduce another problem. In my case, tension. A lot of tension. On top of already tension. Because I couldn't sing another high note. I mean, I couldn't sing another whole note further. And so, it was oh my gosh. I sang that. She said, no, don't do that. Just sing like you talk. And I thought, well, what do you mean? Just sing like you talk. Just sing like you talk. You don't talk like that. And so I thought, well, it can't be that easy, can it? And in many ways, yes, it is that easy. Why don't we? Well, because we don't like the sound of our voice. And so we try and change it. We try and add something to make it sound better. That always gets us in trouble. Learn to love your voice. Live with your voice. Be comfortable with your voice because it's you. It's unique. People can tell right away when you're trying to sound like somebody else, and all they can do is compare you to them. But when you get into your real sound and stop trying to make a sound, just let your voice come out, your natural voice, that's when it gets exciting because people tell right away there's honesty in that voice. There's heart. There's feeling. There's not imitation. So, Trudel 281, awesome comment. Thank you. Are there any videos of you singing on the website? Go to my YouTube channel. Click on the playlist and look for the playlist that says me singing songs. Okay? Shelly Ann, thanks for the info on the lessons, Chuck. I think the 30 minutes for 75 is probably better for me. I understand. Quick question. How should we be practicing in order to see results faster? Number one is make sure that the exercise you're doing are for your vocal type. If you tend to pull chest and raise the larynx, and you're doing exercises that pull chest and raise the larynx, you're multiplying the problem. If you'll take the vocal test on my homepage and get your vocal type and then do the exercises for your vocal type, they will help eliminate problems and help you start doing right things, the correct things. If you do the exercises correctly, that's going to be step number one. Step number two is record yourself practicing. Record yourself practicing and then just listen to it. Listen to yourself actually do the exercises because you're going to learn a great deal about your voice by listening to what you're doing. Now, if you're able to take a lesson, like to say you took a lesson from me, then listen to the lesson and then record yourself singing along with the lesson, because I give you exercises that will fix things in your voice and correct things. And as you do them, you'll hear yourself do them right, or you'll hear yourself do them wrong, and you start learning faster that way. I remember for me, I had just big breakthrough in my voice. I had a good lesson, something happened good in my lesson, and I came back and listened to that lesson for months. It took me about 2.5 to 3 months before I really understood what my teacher was telling me. But I could hear it, I could feel it. And so I began to identify what I was doing when that sound happened. And, just in my case, I realized that I was relaxing enough to let go so that I was losing the tension, and then I could increase the volume in that condition of letting go. It's hard to explain that. It just means something to me. But that changed it for me. I made more progress from that day forward, and it really happened because I was listening to myself practice. I practiced with my recording. I recorded myself practicing with the recording of my lesson, and then I listened to that recording and listened to myself practice. And so I would go back and forth, and I would try it again and record myself and see if those things were working that I was hearing. That's a way to really start progressing rapidly. How did people get good at singing before they could record themselves? Like 200 years ago. Probably an audience. If they clapped, they thought they were good, and if they threw tomatoes at them, they wouldn't sing anymore. I don't know. All right, you guys. It's approaching midnight in the east, on the East Coast. Any of you here who are going to, any of you who want to get Singer's Impact, and you live out of the country, and so you're already too late, email me, chuck@powertosing.com, and I'll figure something out. All right. Thank you all. This has been a 2.5-hour session, and lots of amazing questions, a lot of amazing things said tonight. I hope this has been helpful. Shelly Ann, thank you. Very nice to meet you, and love to hear from you. Thanks. Wherever you are in the world, look at something coming from Toby. Okay. Is that a singer? Toby? I'll have to watch out for Toby. Most of you are probably going to go to bed. Please have a great night's rest. If you're getting up in a few hours, get to sleep. Thanks, everybody. Appreciate your participation. The bottom line is that Singer's Impact will have an impact. That's why one reason why I wanted to name it Singer's Impact. And not only are you impacted in a positive way on your voice as a member of Singer's Impact, but you have impact on others as you sing. Thanks, and all the best to you. I'm Chuck Gilmore with Power to Sing. Please look seriously at joining me inside Singer's Impact, and I think you'll be pleased with the experience. Thank you, and good night.